you shouldn't care so much about Amazon revenue numbers when you're drop shipping. Any other time, kind of important, but not when you're drop shipping, and here's why.
What's up, guys? This is 𝗏𝗏𝗥𝗡, and you have reached the 𝗏𝗏𝗥's e-com channel. If you want to learn how to make money online or offline, then you need to be right here. I'm a 7-figure Amazon seller. I'm also an honorably discharged Air Force veteran. Graduated from Penn State and started a career as a software engineer and leveraged that to build my businesses. If you guys have any questions on how to make money, you're going to find all your answers right here, so stay tuned.
And we're here. All right, guys. So, as the title states, you should not care about big revenue numbers when you're drop shipping on Amazon. Now, I'm not saying that revenue is not entirely important, but the big numbers that you see isn't necessarily what you should be caring all about. Okay, and here is what I mean. A lot of people get caught up with, these, I'm doing 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 a month, all right? And for the most part, these accounts are very old. They have very high credit limits or a lot of capital behind them. And people just tend to know what the fuck they're doing because they're professional drop shippers at that point, okay? So don't worry about all that stuff, because what you need to be focused on is profitability. And profitability is going to be the biggest thing when it comes to drop shipping, because the margins are typically very slim. In some cases, like 4 to 6%, especially if you're using Walmart solely as a supplier. If you're not branching out, chances are your Walmart, profit margins are real slow unless you're counting your cash back and rewards points from your credit card and rebate sites. But if you're just going off front end profit, it's not going to be all that high. All right, and let's break down the whole profitability thing, because I know a lot of you guys are like, well, what are you talking about? Because this guy said he's drop shipping from Walmart and he does like 35%. Bunch of bullshit, but you don't know what you don't know yet, but you're about to. Let's go, teleport, and we're here. Okay, so profitability, all right, what do I mean by that? It's your net profit, guys. That's how much money you're making off your revenue, okay? Not your gross profit, because everyone's like, oh, it's sales. No. Don't want to care about that. What you want to care about is the actual money you're putting in your pocket, so you can take your honey out. You can, go on a nice vacation, buy yourself some, or have her, buy some lingerie, some lingeries, and, have a good time and all that stuff, right? But you got to have money to do that. And if your profit margins are really small, you can't do it because you're not making any money. You're probably even losing money, all right? So when it comes to drop shipping on Amazon, there's so many different styles, all right? Whole camp full of them, all right? You got retail arbitrage, private label drop shipping, which is something that I pioneered, here on YouTube. People are probably doing it before me, but no one really talked about it. And then wholesale drop shipping, okay? Private label drop shipping routinely has the highest margins, roughly 20 to 40% the majority of the time. When it comes to retail arbitrage drop shipping, depending on where you're drop shipping from, especially Walmart, probably 4 to 6%, something like that. With wholesale drop shipping, you're probably getting into the 15 to 30% range, maybe a little bit more depending on the contracts that you have, which suppliers you're using, and how long you've been in business with them, because the longer you're in business with them, the better discounts you're going to get, all right? So when it comes to your margins, just because you're doing 100K a month doesn't mean you're doing 100K a month, all right? And that's what you guys need to get under control. That's why you don't see, like, if you guys follow me on social media, shameless plug below, check out the links in the description and smash that like button for the algorithm. Hook me up, help me get out there. So if you guys follow me on social media, you'll notice that I don't have accounts that are doing $300,000, $400,000, $600,000, in sales every month. Number one, most of my clients don't have that type of capital. And number two, it is not necessary, okay? Your sole focus should be on finding items that increase profitability, not necessarily just revenue, because they're kind of mutually exclusive. You could do a lot of revenue and have really low profit, or you could do a lot in profit but have really low revenue, okay? It's not always going to be hand in hand. High revenue, high profit. Okay, so a lot of people tend to get that confused when they see these $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 accounts, and they think these people are making all this money. More often than not, if you're seeing an account that has $300,000 or $400,000, in gross sales for the month, these guys aren't making that much money. More often than not. Now, some are making a ton of money, but if they're drop shipping from Walmart, them dudes ain't making squat, okay? Because more often than not, they don't have a platinum Amex. They're using a service like Payability that pays them out every single day, so that way they can go ahead and pay their credit cards down and stuff like that. Payability has a fee on the front and the back end. Now, I use Payability for all my private label stuff, my store over there. Great people, love you guys. But let's say your profit margins are 6%. let's say you do $100,000. You know, you're like, man, I only got a $15,000 credit card. I can't get my limits increased, whatever. You're doing $100,000 in revenue. Your profit margins are 6%, which is, you know, decent. That would be a net profit of $6,000 in case you didn't know. Payability charges a fee. And their fee isn't really low when you first start. But let's just say it's 1.5%. That's 1.5% on the front and back end. And there's calculations that go into that. But essentially, you're down to 3%. So for that $100,000 that you sold, you're only making $3,000 net. It's cool though, right? But then you also have to remember that if you're in an automation service, you're paying percentages based on your net profit, the total net profit, not your the net profit, not the profit that you would have made after payability, right? So it gets all kind of funky. So let's just say the $6,000 you made, I don't know, let's say they're taking 30% of that. Decent chunk, right? Decent chunk. It's like $1,800, whatever, you know. So you're like, oh yeah, you know, I'm good. Hold on, not so fast, buddy, not so fast. Because now that $1,800 came right out. Well, congratulations, you're still paying that 1.5% on the front and back end. And let's say that $1,800 is out of that $3,000. Now you're left with like $2,000. I'm sorry, $1,200. Like, my math could be off on that one, but that's generally what you're looking at. So you guys got to be careful on that front. And like, we got to talk about why, you know, the smoke and mirrors exist anyway. So let's go. Teleport again. And we're here. Okay, so why the smoke and mirrors, people? Why the smoke and mirrors? Well, number one, it just looks really good. All right, it looks fantastic. It looks amazing when you can show these big screenshots and everyone's thinking that you're balling, you're making millions of dollars every month or year or whatever. It's just simply not the case, okay? Simply not the case. And really, that's all it's for. It's just to look good. You know, when people are like, oh, bro, we did, $300,000, this month. Like, I know plenty of people who are selling $300,000 a month and they're making jack squat. They're making like $2,000, $3,000. You're selling $300,000, but making like $3 grand because of the fees from payability and the low profit margins that you have. Your profitability is just really low. As opposed to some of the accounts I manage, they're doing $30,000 and people are laughing. They're like, oh my God, the accounts are so small, they're not really making any money. Doesn't necessarily matter when they're making $2,000 or $3,000 on that $20,000 or $30,000 dollars in sales. Would you want to sell $300,000 and make $3 grand, or you want to sell $30,000 and make $3 grand? Because you don't need payability if you're only doing, let's say, $30,000. $300,000 you might need payability, and it's a scooter. Hold on. All right, so no scooter. But that's it, man. That's the smoke and mirrors, guys. And you need to be careful. So how do you combat this when you guys are focused on your selling? For starters, you need to do effective product research. You need to use tools like AMZ Scout Pro. There's a free trial below, especially, so it's really good if you're doing wholesale or private label drop shipping. Free trial below, check it out. Or Web Scraper app, which is one of the tools I use if I'm doing like, retail arbitrage, and then there's a certain feature in there. It's still beta, but it'll be good for wholesale once it gets released to the general public. And it'll help you find items that are going to be profitable for the long run, not necessarily for the day, all right? It doesn't do you any good if you're selling $3,000 a day and you're only making $30 off of that, right? It doesn't do you any good, man. It's not good whatsoever. Okay, so keep that in mind. The reason why a lot of people don't ever tell their profits or show the profits behind them like I do is because they're just not making that much money. They're really not making much of anything, okay? They're just trying to entice you. They're trying to get you hyped, right? Because a lot of people come to me, throughout the course of the week or month, and they're always like, oh, bro, like, how come your accounts aren't so big? Or how can I do this? Or, well, like, aren't your clients mad? Like, no, my clients aren't mad. On average, they do $3,000 to $5,000, and they only have to sell like $30,000 to $40,000 a month to do it. So they don't care. They're happy with what, with the whole process. The only people that aren't happy with that are the ones that get caught up in the whole feeding frenzy of, the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a month. It doesn't necessarily equate to you guys making that amount of money. It just equates to you guys selling that much. And, we're going to close out with, the revenue and the profit behind said revenue. All right, it's kind of confusing because it doesn't always equal one another. but in some cases it does. So let's talk about that, because I know some of you are like, well, if I'm selling like 300,000 and if I have a decent profit margin, I'm making like 30, 40, 50K. And it's true, but let's just go ahead. Let's talk about this. Let's go. Okay, guys. So this is a tough one right here. Now, in some cases, your revenue kind of directly reflects the profit that you make, but only if you do what I said in the last segment when you're doing effective product research, okay? If you're just throwing products up there hoping that something sticks and you're just doing revenue but you don't really know the profit margins behind it, or the margins are very low and you're depending on cashback and rebate sites to make that money up, you're an idiot. Okay, I'm sorry, you just are. So all these people out there, and yeah, I'm talking to you yahoos who are telling all these people, oh bro, just care about your back-end rebates and your credit cards and all this stuff, because that's how you're gonna make money. If you can't get your clients anywhere between 10 to 15%, or your students, clients and students, whatever, if you're an automation guy, and you can't get your clients 10 to 15% on the front end, and if you're someone who's coaching and you can't get people 10 to 15% on the front end, you fucking suck. There we go. If you don't like it, come fight me. You ain't gonna do that shit. So it's just the truth. If you can't do that, you just fucking suck at it. Period. End of discussion. So when you have shit revenue, all right, just absolute shit revenue, you better be really, really profitable. Okay? And it's hard to make that up. Like if you're only doing like $5,000 a month, it's gonna be extremely difficult to make a ton of money. So you have to be super profitable, and you're probably gonna have to find items that are like $1 and then sell them for 20 or 30 bucks, all right, to make any money. It's very difficult to do that when your revenue is just real low off items that just aren't moving. Conversely, when you're doing massive amounts of, revenue, but your margins are really, really low, it's just not gonna do well for you, all right? It's just not gonna happen. But when you mix both of those together, you do effective product research, you have a pretty high profit margin of 10 to 15%, if not higher, and you do like $500,000 that month, you're making a good chunk of money, okay? Even if payability is a factor, okay? But your margins have to support it. That's the important component that everyone seems to fucking forget. Everyone forgets that you gotta be profitable. Everyone just cares about selling, and that's just not the way it should be. Care about being profitable and making money. Don't just care about selling. At that point, you're just pushing product for the suppliers or the manufacturers that you use, okay? Do $500,000 and your profit margins are damn near 1%, who cares at that point? Like, you're just not really making that much money, okay? Especially if you have fees to pay with like payability, or your credit cards and things like that. There's so many different things. Like if you're relying on credit cards and rebate sites, which in turn, you're not gonna always get all that money, right? So Walmart, in some cases, there's 4% cash back. You really think Walmart's gonna give you 4% cash back on all $500,000 that you do through, the site? No, they're not. So you're forced to use like Top Cash and Be Frugal and Mr. Rebates and blah, all these different sites in hope that they don't lock your ass the fuck out. It's too much swirl. Focus on the front end first and foremost, because that's what most sellers do. We don't necessarily worry about all the back end shit. We worry about the front end shit, when we're selling on these platforms, because you want to make money. All right, there's instances where you don't necessarily need to care about front end profit because of whatever stuff you're doing on the back end, trying to get people into your ecosystem and so on. But that's another topic for a different video. What you need to focus on is being profitable, doing effective product research, and making sure that if you're the one who's selling, or you have someone running your account for you, that you're profitable at all times. And you need to check that up. Okay, don't just sit there and be like, okay, we're selling, everything's good. Make sure that everything aligns. All right, you have to. That's why revenue doesn't always match up or make sense when it comes to being profitable. They're, like I said, guys, they don't always work together. So with that being said, man, hopefully you smashed the like button by now. And if you're offended by this, I don't care. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing. You're gonna leave me a bad, like a thumbs down or something? You ain't coming out to Philly. Get out of here. So that being said, guys, be safe, be smart. I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Peace out.